Hi, it's episode 153 of Nuggets Dungeon Terrain, and here I'm going to add a trapped T-junction to my Steampunk factory set. Then join me in the second half of the video where I'll be making a boiler room. Again, this is a 1cm thick base and 2cm high walls. The walls are 1cm thick. I've done the overall shape of the T-junction, and then I've added this part of a cage. It's from a $2 piece of junk toy. This room is going to have a few cogs, but don't panic. They're not just going to be stuck onto the wall and do nothing. They're going to sit underneath this cage and show that there's a mechanism that functions a trap that guards one of the entrances. I used the hot wire probe to cut all the way through to the other side of the base. The reason I'm melting inside the line will be clear in a moment. Here I'm just making a little bit of a lip by burning a thin ledge around the edge. This is where the grate's going to sit. It should be enough to be able to hold the weight of the minis on top. Here I'm using some thick card to fill up the bottom of the pit. To just add a little bit of depth and variety, I'm using some metal cogs, but I'm also using some from this mould. Inside the mould you simply add some hot glue from a hot glue gun. On the entranceway to this section are 8 steam vents, 4 on each side. I'm going to use these empty cartridges from a cap gun. I used a lollipop stick to connect the two sides of the trap together to make it look like a pipe ran across. I'm now going to put a lever, of course it's going to be on the other side of the trap, to lure the players in and give them the challenge of trying to disarm the trap without getting hurt. First I stick on a washer, and for the lever I'm going to use the end of a pen. The overall paint scheme is just going to be a cold cement kind of a look. Some of the gearworks and the pipes on the walls will brighten up the room a little bit, but it is supposed to look a little bit dreary. Let's skip ahead now to some of the final picks. If you want to see more of the details of how I made this piece, just flick through some of my older videos. Next up, it's time to put the steam in Steampunk. I'm making a boiler room. As always, I won't be showing every single second of the build, just some of the highlights and maybe some of the fresh ideas. Basically, some of the most important parts of the jigsaw puzzle, so that it could inspire some of your own builds later. These tent grommets are being used to designate an area that's being used as a coal chute. These bordering lines are going to become metal trim that designate this particular area. The boiler itself is going to be made out of this party popper. I'm not going to use this as scatter terrain or an added magnet section, so it can only be 2 centimeters high. Therefore I'm going to take off the parts of it that I don't want. Technically, of course, a boiler should be capped off to build up the pressure of the steam, but because I'm cutting this off at the 2 centimeter height, you could just assume that the pipe keeps going. Instead, I just add this small grommet in to make it a little bit more polished off. First, I pressed the boiler into the XPS foam to make an indentation. Then I drew that mark in with a pen to make it deeper so that the boiler would sit in flush. I then found a circle that I felt would make a really nice size extra circle around and used that to make some trim. Here I'm adding a wall section. The bit of pipe that runs out of the bottom is actually deeper than the 2 centimeter high wall, so I'm just making a small indentation in the base so that that pipe will slot in. That way it will look like the pipe's running out of the floor and into the rest of the pipe network. I'm adding this jeans rivet to one of the walls. I like the little pattern that's in it. It kind of looks ornate and has a sort of a steampunk vibe. This is going to become the steam valve. The players can use this to turn off the steam network. I'm going to make the floor look like it's made out of metal plates, but that doesn't mean to say that it doesn't have imperfections and areas that have been dented. To finish off, I just popped a little bit of paint on the inside of some small pill bottles and stuck them on each of those holes. Here's what I mean. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you soon for part 3.